What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com, seeking refuge outside because my home is overrun with children and other human beings that, frankly, don't care about the Green Bay Packers. So I thought I'd come outside and talk to you fine folks. After day one, Minicamp, the Packers have 2 more days, and as suspected, Mike McCarthy excused veterans and the like with 6 years or more experience. Obviously, that was expected. I thought my colleague Michael Cohen asked an interesting question of Mike in his press conference. Hello, everyone, chiming in. Michael asked Mike, with as much as he, the coach, talks about the limitations of practice due to the new CBA, is it tempting to keep those guys around for these 3 extra days, seeing as, McCarthy's made his displeasure with the CBA well known. But McCarthy said the reps are much more valuable for the young guys, especially at this point, where those guys are in their career. What's up? Well, look at all these people saying hello. A Nags a day keeps the haters at bay, I guess. Dave, thanks for checking it out. Nice of you guys to all drop by. South Carolina, George, what's up? Sorry, guys, I'm using a different program today because I don't have access to my usual setup, so things are a little all over the map here. What's our injury list? Anthony, it's a good question. I've actually got it here. I have to access my computer for a change, so let me take a look here. I know there were several new additions, so to speak, to the injury list today. Let's call it up for you here real quick. My computer's going very slow for some reason, which I don't really understand, because it should be good. All right, here we go. Today, Trevor Davis, Jake Ryan, and Kyler Fackrell were all out with hamstring injuries. I know Packer fans love to hear that. Josh Jones and Geronimo Allison are dealing with ankle injuries. So that was your new butcher's bill for today. Holy wind. Is it that bad? Is it bad on the mic? Sorry, guys. Like I said, I had to go outside today. Tucson, what's up? Oh, there, that wind. Yeah, sorry. It's a bit windy today. How's our newfound length on defense? I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It's really impossible to say much of anything until we see these guys in pads, which we'll do, obviously, at the end of July. When training camp kicks off. But, I tend to think, you look at guys, even like the holdovers like Fackrell, length is something the Packers have always kind of coveted, especially on their ends, but that hasn't necessarily translated to guys that can play, so to speak. Ready for Christmas back there. Those are my night lights. You get out here at night, it's kind of magical. Wow, so many people. This is crazy. How was the punter? Luke, he was booming them today. Michael Cohen didn't have an official timing on them, but it's pretty impressive. It's the second time the media has got to see him kind of launching them, and from all accounts, it's very impressive. Now, again, that doesn't mean much, until they get in the actual operation of the game and situational and having to avoid a rush and et cetera and all that stuff. And I know they've talked a little bit about wanting to shorten his approach, but all of that will get worked out and will be worked through during training camp. Right now, he's just booming them. It's Leon Lett. How was Clay's nose, Matt? It's a good question. Nobody's really seen it. I know he was scheduled to have surgery last week, I believe. I think he'll take the time and heal and come back ready for bear. We missed the lampshade. Yes, everyone listens. Any parenting advice? Yeah, don't listen to me. How are the young wide receivers looking? Dan, I thought a couple of the guys, both David Rhea and a number of the other offensive assistants today, as the plane goes by here, we're talking about, lots of ups and downs. Guys make a play a day pretty much, make you turn your head. And then they struggle from time to time, but that's to be expected. You're going to have plenty of struggles throughout their rookie season. I think Jim Hostler made a really good point when asked about rookie wide receivers struggling to be productive their rookie years, not just in Green Bay, but around the league. He pointed out that in college, a lot of these guys, especially on the perimeter, have 4, maybe 5 routes that they're asked to run on a consistent basis. And they get to Green Bay and or other places in the league, but especially in Green Bay, they could have anywhere from upwards to 150 different routes they're asked to run out of the perimeter tree. So that gives you an idea of the black and white to color kind of journey that these guys are taking. It's a bit like they're landing in Oz and trying to figure out everything. And they're trying to do it at 100 miles an hour with pads on and guys being really physical across the line of scrimmage, something else that they haven't had to deal with yet. They're not being really manhandled yet at the line of scrimmage in these OTA practices, mostly because they're not allowed to be too physical per the CBA. Bob, is Geronimo ready to step up? I think he is. I've said several times, I think, he's clearly got the leg up, could have knows the offense, and the biggest asset he has, biggest thing he has going for him over the other guys is 12 knows and trusts him. And we've seen throughout the years how important that is. I don't think he has an incredibly high ceiling athletically, but that doesn't mean he can't be extremely productive. Like I said, we've seen the 12 isn't afraid to throw him the ball. And if, defenses are shading towards Davante Adams, which you have to think they will be, he should have plenty of opportunities, especially early on. Mark, any word on Dez? No word on Dez. I would tend to think the Dez door is shut, albeit maybe with a 1% opener in case of injury, but I tend to think those 3 wide receivers taken in the draft probably shut that door. Let's see what else we got. Adrian Peterson, Anthony, I don't think they're going down that road. I know a lot of people asked about it last year prior to them drafting those three running backs, and now that they did do that, and those guys have clearly shown, at least 2 of them, that they can play in the league, I don't see them making a call there. And I know Adrian Peterson put it out there. But, then the other aspect of Adrian Peterson in Green Bay is the fact that he's a terrible fit for the offense. An offense that runs predominantly out of the shotgun, which is something that Peterson's never been very comfortable with throughout his career. He's not very good in pass protection, which means he probably won't see the field a whole lot on 3rd down. And he's not a great receiver out of the backfield, which you need to be in this offense because Aaron Rodgers could change anything at any moment. So, I think there's a lot of factors at work there, and I think it all adds up to, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I don't expect Adrian Peterson to get a call anytime soon. Let's see. So many questions are flying by. Is Rodgers throwing with no fear? By all accounts, yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean a whole lot yet. He said at his locker last week, the young corners are chirping. They've picked him off a few times, and they're gonna talk. But when it gets down to it, I'll just remind everyone of last year when Kevin King came in the offseason. He looked good, and he acquitted himself well in the spring, and he got into even the beginning of training camp. He looked pretty good. And then he had a day where Aaron Rodgers specifically said, okay, we're going to go after this kid. And he and Jordy Nelson proceeded to make Kevin King look absolutely foolish in the span of 4 plays. I specifically remember it was the first day with pads on, and they specifically went after him. And you can bet that first day when the pads come on, that first week, Rodgers, Adams, and company will have a moment where they turn the light on and go, okay, let's see what these guys really have. Because right now, they're just installing stuff. It's It's really only even half speed most of the time. Guys they're gonna show athleticism, etc. But it doesn't really mean much at this point. Does England get out of the group stage? Oh, I hope so. I remember last World Cup, I ordered a England shirt, and it arrived after their second match, after they had been eliminated. So I'm hoping. I got my shirt early this time. Here's hoping. I'm not counting on it. Let's see what else we got here. Do you think Montgomery could be the dark horse that shows up big this season, both running and as a receiver? Absolutely. I mean, I think the sky's the limit for the guy, especially since he could be used in any number of ways at 2 different positions. A couple of the coaches were asked about him today, and they definitely sound like they plan on utilizing his skill set as much as they can. Oh, soccer talk, thank you. Hey, here's a crazy idea. I'm going to talk about what I want. Thanks. If Devontae gets hurt, they're screwed. I can't say that they're not in trouble. If Devontae Adams gets hurt, they're in a world of inexperience on the perimeter. That's for sure. You'd have to think they would lean a little bit more on their running game, lean on those tight ends. They got more experience there than probably anywhere else on offense. So it would not be good, that's for sure, but I think they could survive. I mean, don't forget, Aaron Rodgers put up, came close to upsetting the Cardinals down in Arizona in a playoff game where he basically lost his only viable wide receiver when Randall Cobb on the second series, I think it was, and he almost pulled off a miracle with Jeff Janis and Jared Abadaris at wide receiver. So, if Adams goes down, is it problematic? Absolutely, but I think they could survive. Get the phone, Nagler. Nah, somebody will pick it up. Who's getting LeBron? Who cares? Thoughts on Joey Imbu? Shadid, it's interesting because I think, at first blush, I think I said this yesterday, you would think, camp body probably, but you never know with not knowing, exactly how Mike Pettin is going to employ that defensive front and how much three-man he's going to use. It's possible if he makes enough noise in camp. If he makes it to camp, who knows? It could cut tomorrow for all we know. But, if, I looked at a little bit of his stuff in Indianapolis last night, and, he's serviceable. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire, obviously, but you never know. If they want to go 6-7 deep, which I don't think they will, but if that's something that they are considering and they think they need the bodies, then maybe he's got a chance. I'm not, like I said, more likely than not, he's probably just, they need an extra body to get through the many reps that they're going to require through training camp. But you can't never say never. Adams is shooting 20 touchdowns. That's right, James. I saw that cryptic tweet a couple days ago. As I said yesterday, I think that's a lofty goal, and it's probably a bit out of reach just because of the way they spread the ball around in the Packers offense. But heck, it's good to have goals, and you can't say he's not capable because he's clearly got the ability. I think it's a question of two things: of staying healthy and Rodgers finding him early and often. Thanks for getting the QB camp with Gruden and Favre. Absolutely, I just thought it was great. I watched the whole thing the other night, and that bit about the RPOs really stuck out to me, so I just clipped it and put it on Twitter. Why do you think they cut Jordy over Cobb? Because Jordy Nelson's older and not as sudden as an athlete and was set to make a little bit more money. I said pretty much from the end of the season that if one of those two had to go, it was most likely going to be Jordy for those reasons. I think you really saw it that second half of the season. And I know a lot of people want to point to Brett Hundley being the quarterback, and that's why things fell off. And there is truth to that. However, the tape doesn't lie. And you saw as the year went on, more and more, Nelson had a lot of trouble kind of making things happen after the catch and making moves horizontally. And he'll probably look very good in September and October this season. I don't doubt it. That's, most vets do early on in the year. But it's pretty clear that, Father Time's catching up, and it's always better to get out a year too early than a year too late. Let's see, I'll take one or two more. Can we start the Earl Thomas talk? Andrew, I tend to doubt it. Not only would they have to give up a draft pick for him, but then they'd have to sign him to what you would probably think would have to be a pretty significant deal. I don't think the Packers are going to allocate their capital that way, but you never know. Maybe Gutekunst makes the call to his buddy John Schneider out there and something happens, but I'd be very surprised. Do you think Clay is going to finish his career with the Packers? If you ask me right now, I'd say yes. I tend to think he'll most likely sign some kind of extension throughout some time this season if he continues to play as well as he played last year. And I know a lot of people look at the lack of double-digit sacks and they say he didn't play well, and I say turn on the tape because he did play well. didn't have as many sacks as maybe you would like, especially at that price point. But he's still a good football player. Now, if his play slips a little bit and he continues to be unproductive, then maybe they let him walk. But if he continues playing at the level we saw last season, if he puts on tape what he put on tape last year, I think they'll extend him out and hopefully let him finish his career in Green Bay where he started. Can we start football earlier this year? Man, I wish. Let's see. Where's Oren Burks lining up? Inside mostly, Ian. Jason, do you get recognized in public? Funnily enough, I got stopped on the street here in Astoria in New York a couple weeks ago from somebody who follows me on Twitter. Graham, most snaps outside. John, I would think there's a good possibility of that happening. Maybe not necessarily on the perimeter, but between the perimeter and the slot, much more than in line. I think that's a good bet. Thoughts on the right side of the line? Ray, I've said here many times I think McCray has got what it takes to be the starting right guard. I said all that before it got popular to say it. Thank you very much. Yeah, right tackle. Say hi to the train, everyone. Hi, train. Lots of people leaving New York. I remember being on that train once upon a time. Yeah, right tackle. I know they signed Byron Bell. That's a scary proposition if you're Aaron Rodgers. But, yeah, I think they're just going to let Bell and Murphy and Spriggs, if he's healthy, battle it out until, Bulaga's ready to come back. But, there's a good chance that Bell's not even on the roster if Murphy and Spriggs show some improvement. But that's no given. Tell that wind to chill, bro. I'll have it chill in a second because I'm gonna take off. But thanks, everyone. Thanks so much for all your questions. I'm sorry about the wind. I'm sorry about being outside. Like I said, my house is overrun today. Make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest on everything from Minicamp, including the veterans being excused. We'll have coverage of the, obviously today and the next 2 days, and then the Packers will be off until the end of July. So get your Packers fix in now because it's about to go away. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Have a good night. Talk to you soon. As soon as I figure out how the hell to turn this off when I'm in this mode. Oh, there it is.